Hey everyone, this is Peggy with Sweet Tea Makery and welcome back to my channel. So today's DIY, we're going to create our very own moss wreath. I've been looking for them online and the ones that I do find are very expensive. So I thought I would give creating my own a try and see how that goes. So I first picked up a 14, well, it's about a 15 actually total, green foam, floral foam wreath base. Then I picked up a bag of this instant green, and I'll hold it this way, moss. It's called Super Moss Instant Green All-Purpose Moss Matte. Now it is not sticky back. You can certainly pick up the sticky back sheets, but I really felt like I would get more coverage using the larger sheet, mats, and using my floral pins. Now, a couple of the other items that you're going to need are some scissors, a sanding sponge or sandpaper, and of course, floral pins. So I'm using these floral pins here. They're also called S pins, but I'm using these. You're going to need several of them. Hopefully that will be enough for our project. If not, we'll have some more. And then we're going to use, I do have hot glue just in case I need it, but hopefully I can get away with just pinning this. So when you start to roll out the sheets, this is kind of what it looks like. You don't want it to roll it out entirely, but you know, a little at a time. So I've already pre-cut some of my moss, and what I did was I cut it in 2 inches wide, so they actually will be that length here when I cut it. And then I flipped it over and cut it in half. I'm going to show you how I did that. Now, just to let you know, this is not a clean project. It's a messy project. So have your vacuum cleaner handy when you finish the end of your project. So I'm just going to show you what I've done here. I'm just going to take and make sure that I'm using the back end. And now this does stick to it, but that's okay. It peels right off. And I'm going to stand up for this one so it's a little easier. So I'm using my mat to make a measurement, and I want to measure 2 inches. Okay, so right now I'm just using whatever mark is here. So this is 18, so 2 inches would be at the 16 mark. So the great thing about this moss, let me show you, is that it actually has a grid system to it on the back, and I'm using that to my advantage so that I can try and line it up so that I can evenly cut these in 2-inch increments. So all I need to do is find that 2-inch mark, and I'm going to go in the center of that grid, and I'm just going to hold it down as I cut it. And I'm just going to follow that same center of that grid mark, and we're going to go all the way up. And I've already got most of them pre-cut, so I'm just showing you how I've done mine. Now, I have tried using the rotary cutter, and it works as well. I just feel like I have more control using scissors than I do the rotary cutter, unless you use a ruler, which you can use, but it just kind of, for me, the scissors just worked better. So I think I have, with this one, enough to finish my project. So we're just going to move this to the side for now, and I'm going to show you that I take that and I cut it in half. I'm just going to fold it, and again, as you can see, it's going to be a messy project. So I'm just cutting them in half. And I'm going to take my stack that I have over here, and we're going to start wrapping my foam, my wreath foam. Now you can, I have seen other people use a pool noodle, which you can cut a pool noodle into a circle, and I think that works great if you are not going to add florals to your moss wreath. It just seems to me that the texture of the pool noodle, when you go to insert a floral, and what I'm talking about, we'll give you an example. So say if I'm trying to insert a floral through the moss and then through that pool noodle, it's going to be tough unless you have a pick machine, and that's a machine that puts a metal prong on the end of your stems, and even within that, it's just a tough surface to get through on a pool noodle. But if you're just going to use it to wire something on, or just add a bow to, certainly you can use a pool noodle. But I want to add some florals to this. I will not do that today. Today is just a tutorial on how to actually create the wreath. And again, it's a little bit messy. So what I did in the beginning is when I bought this form, I'm going to flip it over here. So when you buy this form initially, it has sort of a sharp edge in the center and on the outer edge. And I wanted it to have a little bit of a rounded look to it. So I took one side, and this again is a messy process, but hold it over your trash can, and I just sanded this till I got a little curve, if you see that. A little curve on the inside, and I did it to the outside. It just kind of gives, takes off that edge so it doesn't look so stark, it looks more rounded. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take one of our 2-inch strips that we cut in half, and it doesn't matter where you start, it's a circle. I'm going to grab a few pins and lay them over here to the side, and then we're going to pin them. So one of the things I need to do real quick is move my glue gun over here just in case I do need it handy. And oops, lost my lighting. Let's get the lighting fixed. Sorry guys, a little lighting went there. Okay, so I have my glue gun. We'll get it warming so in case we need it. Okay, so I'm just going to sort of center it where there's about an equal amount on both sides. Now, this is the part that helps me remember that this is the front, going to be the front of my wreath, because this is the part that we rounded off on the inner part of the ring and the outer part of the ring. So we're going to be doing some flipping over back and forth, and again, it's a messy project. So what I'm going to do, it usually gives me just enough, we'll turn it so you can see it, just enough. You want to pull on it not too tight because it can tear, but enough to snug it up, and it does overlap just a tad. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our pin, and I'm going to go at an angle instead of going just here. You could do it here and here, but I'm going to try doing at an angle and just push that pin in. So you see how we started that? Let's flip it over so you can see that. Now don't worry as we go along if some of the foam starts to show, because we can always go back and fix that, and I'll show you how to fix that as well. So we're going to take another one of our moss cuttings, and we're going to go about halfway, and you do kind of want to work it in where it's not overlapping on the front. This shouldn't take too long. I'm going a little slower because I'm showing you how to do it. But if you have some of your foam showing, that's fine. Now when you go at an angle, okay, when you're going at an angle, it's not always going to, because you're going in a circle, I shouldn't say an angle, but going in a circle, it's going to not always line up exactly here. So that's why you're going to need several, more than several, a lot of these greening pins. Now you can certainly glue this. I find sometimes if you use a glue gun to glue it down, then you're going to need to use a low temperature glue gun because it will melt the foam, and it just leads to a messy project. So here again, like I said, just told you, on here it might be just a tad bit loose. If it's a tad bit loose and you have a low temperature glue gun, you can certainly put a little bit of glue here and glue it down that way. Since this is the first time I've actually created one this large, it's a little bit new for me as well. So why don't we just give this a little test here and see if this works. So what I would normally do is go ahead and pin it here as well. Okay, on the side. And of course right now you can see the pins. But how we would fix that, and I need to check to see if this is ready yet. Let me check it to see, y'all. Oh, it is. Okay. So here's the little trick. Some of these pieces that have fallen off here, I just scrape them to the side so that when I want to come back, and we will do this actually in the end, but I want to show you how it's done, is that you can just put a little bit of glue where that is on the outside, not much, doesn't take much, and take a little bit of that extra that you had done and just tap it on there. And of course the part that doesn't stick is probably going to fall off, but as you can see here, you can't see the pin that we just pinned on here. And again, you're going to see these here. Some of it may be loose, and if that's the case, you can come back and certainly just stick a little bit of glue in there, up underneath it, just a little bit, hold it down, and we're just going to hold it down. So anywhere that you find is loose, you can come back through and start adding just a little bit of glue. But the pins, to me, the pins will help to secure it a little more tightly to the frame, and then the glue just acts as, you know, kind of helps it along. So let's continue going around. And again, we want to get as close to that edge as possible, and we're going in a circle, so it's going to be where we're, oops, where we're coming at an angle. And we want to do that as tightly as possible. Now we're going to flip over and make sure that we've got that to the edge as much as possible, because what you can do is just come back through here and help it along. In any places on the back, we can do the same thing by taking extra and putting it there, or tearing off some of our extra. So I'm going to pin it right here, and sometimes I'll try to catch it on both sides, but for now we're just going to do each individual side, and of course I'm going to pin it here as well, just so that it lays flat. And again, we can come back and fix these pieces here with adding more moss here and pinning as needed. I prefer to go all the way around and then come back and just make some repairs. So we'll continue going around. Just making sure that we've gotten as close to the edge as we can. I'm holding it down and I'm flipping to see how it's going to look on the front. It's really the front that I care about the most. Looking nice and smooth. Or, you know, where you can't quite see it. Alright. And we're going to pin it again. And we're going to pin it here. I'm going to go ahead and pin it on the sides too. And again, like I said, we'll come back and hide those pins. Now what I like to do when I'm finished is I come back, and we'll be doing that when we're finished, but as I will come along and just start kind of squeezing that moss off to hide any line marks, like see here. Again, we'll do it on the front, and if it's just loose, then we can always come back and trim off some extra from our roll and just fill in. Alright, and again, I'm wanting to make sure that I'm getting the closest to the edge that I can where we made those cuts, so the least amount of foam is showing. And you can certainly try, you know, doing this with different foam shapes. You know, just try it. That's what I'm doing. Just trying it to achieve what I want to use mine for, which is to make a wreath form moss wreath form that I can. And here again, we're going to come back and we'll fill in these places here. So we just keep going around and around, and you can go all the way around here, or if you want to, you can come back and start on this side. It doesn't really matter as long as you get fully around it. And again, I can do it that way. However you feel is securing it for you. Now I got my wreath form from a local craft store, and I got it for, I used my coupon and got it for like 40% off. I want to make sure I'm about halfway, as close as I can get it to that edge. So I didn't pay but maybe $5 by the time it was said and done. Maybe just a little bit more. And then my moss you can get at several craft stores. Hobby Lobby is one, and Joann's. But since Hobby Lobby is no longer, now here I made it where it's a little too loose. So this is an easy. Let me show you. This is why you make mistakes. It makes it an easy fix. You just can pull them right back out and adjust it. That's why I glue it at the end, because if I need to pull these out and adjust it, I can. And then I can glue at the end for anything else that doesn't work. There we go. But the sheet, the moss mat, the first one I bought was last year, and that's when Hobby Lobby was doing, had their 40% off coupon. Just so you know that, I know for sure Hobby Lobby won't do it, but any of these type of things, this and any of the floral type of supplies like this, they generally do not put it on sale. For sure, the moss isn't, and I think most of these wreath forms, they're usually generally never on sale. I have never seen them. So with Hobby Lobby losing its 40% off coupon, you have to pay full price, which is, I think at Hobby Lobby it's like $20. But at Joann's they carry the same exact product. Matter of fact, this exact same bag. They have theirs for $17.99, just FYI, and they do have coupons that will let you apply them. Now see, we're starting to come down where we're getting kind of in a funky kind of position here. So when I started cutting these off, I cut them off, or I cut them in half. So what I may end up doing now, since I've gotten kind of halfway around, is that we may end up just going ahead and letting a wedge be there. Let's just see how that will work, because then I can always cut out a wedge to fit in there. Let's see how that works. Again, I've done a smaller one, which wasn't any big deal, but these bigger ones, they were harder, a little bit harder to fill in. Let's see what we're going to do here. Yeah, and then I can still go across here. What I'm going to have to do is just adjust the length. There we go. And again, I'm not worried so much about the back of it. I can always come back and fix that. Excuse me, y'all. I think I'm going to continue on. Let's just work on this. It's a little harder to do a longer one to me than it is to do a smaller one. And I pick up these bags of these floral pins by the hundreds. Like a bag of them, I think there's over, actually I think there's like 400 in. I get them off of Amazon. I can list that in my description. And again, I'm going to keep working from the front, making sure that I'm looking. Now see, that's a little bit loose there, so I can pull it just a tad, and then we can always go back and again just hide that with some extra of the moss that's coming off, or tear some off. And again, some of this will disappear. Like this looks like it's open, so all we have to do is press it and add a pin. So right now I'm just doing the top and the bottom, but I'm showing you as an example of how I would fix that. And again, we're just going to continue on. Going around and around. Actually, we can give ourselves just a little bit more length in there. And adjusting as we go. Let me go back and look. Make sure I'm still covering the front and the edge. And whatever I miss here, like I know this here is covered, but as you go around, it will get shorter and shorter, but we can always come back with another piece of moss to cover that foam. Yeah, that's looking good. Okay. So I was hoping I had enough, but I might end up having to cut some of this. We'll see. And I want it a little bit longer on this end. And again, I'm trying to match that edge. I'm giving myself just a little bit. just so I can, making sure. Yeah, it's a little long, so I'm just what I'm doing is I'm adjusting this just so that it's covering it up, but giving me enough to go around the center in here so I don't have to worry about this too much. And I'm giving it, you know, I'm tugging it a little bit, but not too strong, because if you tug it really a lot, it will tear, even with that backing on it. So this is what we're getting so far, and again, we're going to come back and clean this up and make it where you don't see any of the raw edges on it, and we can hide those very, very easily with the moss. Okay, I think what I'm going to do, since I'm almost equal here, I'm going to start back over here. And again, you can pull it just a little bit, just a tad. Let's see how we get this going. Got plenty of room here. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. That lets me know that you have enjoyed watching some of the tutorials that I have shared here, and it also will let you know when I upload new content, especially if you click the bell, the red bell. That will also do that as well. I appreciate you joining me, and please comment below if you have any questions. I'd be glad to come back and answer them for you. Cha-ching, that's a sale. That is a sale. Okay, we're going to do another one. And again, you may have to adjust instead of going all the way halfway across. You're going to have to adjust as you go around. Yeah, there we go. And I'm trying to cover as much as I can with these single cuts, which saves me less trimming, or less having to come back and fix it. Fix the pieces that you can't, that you know you miss. Okay. And again, if you don't quite get it, and when you press it down and it doesn't look like it's going to hide it, then you might want to take it out and readjust it. But since I'm pushing this down and I see it's going to hide it when I put another pin when I come back, I'm not too concerned about it. Okay, and again, we are going, I'm going to trim it. Now I may overlap it just a little. Let's see what happens when we overlap it just a little. Come to this end. Okay, that's a little long, so we'll adjust that a little bit. I want to make sure I'm getting close enough to that edge. And again, this is a new one for me as far as the size of this particular wreath. And see, we're getting real close to the edge. I'm okay with that because I know I can come back with some more moss and fix that. Yeah, that's looking good. So this is where we're at now. And again, we're going to come back and fix any that we're missing. Definitely have your vacuum cleaner out. Let's see what we can do here. I might go ahead and kind of overlap it a little bit here. Let's see what happens when we do that, because I can always come back. I'm gonna just lay it down and see. Let's see how that works. See, I can come in and then add this. So it's kind of like, almost like putting a piece of the puzzle together. So I think what I'm going to do now is do it this way. All right, I'm going to secure these two together, catching both. And if you feel like you need a little bit more length, you can bend these pins. You can bend them out to catch it, to make it wider. You can still bend them. You just have to press them down a little harder when you bend them out. Okay, let's see. Now I think what we're going to do is let's try pinning this together. Yep. And I'm going to pin it right here. And again, anywhere we're putting pins, we're going to come back and fix that. Now, I can trim this off. I'm going to overlap it just a little bit. That way I can use this as a piece to fix any that I see. I'm going to pin it down. And that's kind of poking out. See how it's open? Again, you can take some glue there, or you can take another pin and pin it down. Just press it and pin it. And again, we can fix this here. I think what I'm going to do is, this is the edge here. I do like that, yep. So this is where it's kind of rough looking here. So I'm going to see how that fits in. Sometimes it'll feather in, and sometimes you just actually need to trim it. Yeah, I think we're going to have to trim some of that. So we'll start over here. I just keep working both sides as much as I can. Let's see. Not that much. Let's see how far we get on this one. Again, you can pull it some, but not a ton. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Just pin it. Pull as close to that edge as we can, as tight as we can. And I'm just going to pull it, and I'm going to go back and double check it. Yep. Okay. This seems like a lot of work, but if I say I got the wreath form for $5, and I got, it was either 40, I think it was 40% off plus another 20% off my entire purchase. So I got this mat form for $10. So for now, right now, plus your, it's just a minimal amount for the pins. I will have made this wreath form for a lot less than what they want online, which is anywhere from $40 on up. So to me, it's worth taking the time to make it myself. It's just my opinion. If you want to go ahead and buy it, you can go ahead and buy it. But I like trying to make things myself sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to flip this over. I'm just going to stick that pin just a little ways in, just to tack it in, so that I can readjust this a little more easier. And then just trim off as I need. Oh, I think we're going to do it. I think I'm going to trim off some here, and it's easy to cut. And then I'm just going to pin it. Oop, we want to pin on a flat surface as much as we can. At an angle, it tends to be a little harder to hide. Okay, so now we've got this part here that we need to hide on the top, and then there's some places, like I said, some places here and there that we're going to find that we can easily fix that. So We may have to trim these to fit. To fit around it. I'm going to go ahead and pin this one. Just get it worked right up into there. Pin it. Adjust it a little bit. Let's bring this down. Let's see how far we need to trim this one. Again, I'm just trimming off pieces as I need them to fit it, and we'll be using those as our repair sheets, if you want to call it that. Okay. And again, we can come back and fix that. It's just I don't want to pull too much on it. Add us some more pins. I'm going to go ahead and pin it. And if we need to, we can either leave it like that or trim it off. We'll see. So we need a little piece here. Yep. Alright. I'm just going to use my finger as kind of the ruler. I'm going to go back to that point here. This is a little small piece that I'm using here that I cut. And we're just going to fit it in. I think what I'll do is pin it first and then trim it as I see fit. I really don't need to do much. I'm just going to cut this piece here and see it just tears super easy. And we're going to pin it back here. So we've just got this one little place here that we again need to work with, and we just can use these pieces as we need it. Okay, again, I'm just fitting it into place. Let's see how much I need. I might use this piece that's just a slightly bit wider. Do I want to do that, or do I want to use this piece? It's a little shorter. So some pieces are a little bit wider. Okay, I'm going to pin it here first, just to keep my place. Make sure I'm overlapping just a tad bit. And we're going to pin again, and then we can see where we need to cut it. Okay, so here's where I need to kind of that's where I kind of just cut it where it was bulking out. Let me see if I can show you. So because I was using that long piece, it was bulking out, so I just trimmed it there just to give it a little bit of give. So all we have to do is fold it over. So let me show you. So it was bulking out right here a little bit, so I just trimmed it, not all the way down, just a little bit, and then I can flip this part here and then just come over and cover it. And again, I'm pinning it, and then we can just follow along the edge here. And I think I'm gonna cut this at an angle, and if it overlaps a little bit, that's fine. Okay, so this is what we have so far. I think we've got it pretty good coverage on it, and it's formed our wreath form. So now all we have to do is go back through and just start adjusting it. And when I say adjust it, the first thing I'm going to do is see if I can't pull some of the moss right where I'm seeing those edges meet. I'm just going to go back through, and I'm using my fingernails to kind of pull some of the moss a little bit, just to adjust it so that we don't see those edges. And again, we need to come back because some of these are poking up, and again, if you have a low temperature glue gun, you can use those. I'm gonna come back through and just pull them in tightly together and just start adding more pins as I go. This is the part that to me goes a little quicker. Once you get along to that edge, then we can add some more pins. All right, that's looking pretty good. We got some that are, and again, you can glue it. You can definitely glue it. But to me, if you use the pins, it gives you the opportunity a little bit more to adjust it. Because once you put that glue on, it's gonna stay right where it is, and then you'll rip it. So whereas the pin, you can just pull it back out and adjust it if you need to. All right, I'm just going through and pinning the pieces that I feel like are popping up. Any pieces that I feel like need to be pushed down. And again, we're just going to look. Now there is one little place here. There's a little funky place. Right there, you see it? We're just going to show the edge. So this is where we're just going to fix it. We're just going to take one of the pieces that we cut off, and we're going to work it in there and use some more pins. I'm just going to take a pin, do it just like that, and pin the back. And again, we can come back and clean up that edge. And when I say clean it up, we can come back. You don't have to, I don't think you have to spend a ton of time, you know, going along in here and fixing it, but you can. You can just certainly trim this in half, fit it in there as best as you can, like this one fits in there. Very simply trim it off like that. Do another one here. And if you're worried about some of the pieces pulling up, that's where you can come back and glue in if you want to. But for now, we're just going to look around to the front. There's one place I see here, right there. So with that, it's such a small place, and I've got so much of this looser one. I'm going to take a little bit of my glue right here and take some of this loose moss and just tap it in. And just be careful, you know, because even low temp, it's still a temperature. And I'm going to let it just stay like that. It will probably, once we shake it off a little bit, it will, you know, any of the part that didn't glue down will definitely come loose. So really, to me, I like the way it looks personally, and it's suiting the purpose that I want to use it for. So now we need to hide these pins from showing through. So if you have some loose moss, which I do have that, you can purchase the loose moss. I'm trying to match it as closely as I can. So this is a bag of moss that you can just tear off. And I have another bag just to show you. So this is just a very simple moss that you can buy. It has a different thickness to me, so you can certainly use that, but I had plenty of this mat left over, and it's very easy to tear off. So you can just tear off sections of it, and we can go along and find our pins. Just put a little bit of glue here and there, and just start incorporating that, you know, in there. You don't want to go too big. You just want enough to get it covered. And you're going to go all the way around the form. Just a little bit of glue. And just start hiding those. Any of those pins that you see, just start hiding them. And I'll probably go around the top. And again, just pull some off. It's super easy to pull it off of that cover. If you don't have enough of the ones that's loose on there, it's super easy. Just pull on the top of it. Super easy to pull it off. See, just tears right off of there. And we'll go along. Now you certainly can decorate these. I see lots of people decorating these where it's just the moss form itself with a ribbon hanger and a bow, or you can do this with a floral, and that's why I chose to use that floor foam on here, because if I wanted to add florals to it, I can easily stick a floral in it. And right now I'm looking for more pins. It may be harder for you to see it than for me, but I definitely see it. So I'm pulling some off of there, and I want to hide it, so it doesn't take much glue. And use whatever you have on hand just to tap it down. I am using a little higher temperature glue gun. I just didn't feel like pulling out my low temp. Okay, that's just a little, yeah, there we go. Alright, some of that came off, but alright, so that's the part I was just showing you. So some of this actually came off of the piece that I hid, but the part that's glued down is still hiding it. And there's a few little places here and there. And when you have those few little places here and there, again, if you use a little bit of this hot glue, I think it's okay on these forms, but I just wouldn't use a ton of it. Because see, it's already melting it. I hear it melting it. Definitely use a low temp, but if you're just going on top of your moss with it, it doesn't matter. Alright, let's go back through and check the top again and see if we've missed any pins. I don't see any on the top, so now what we'll do is go along the edge. I don't want to keep y'all too long, but let's see if we can get some more of this done. And again, I'm just grabbing more as much as I can pull off. Just trying to get pieces to fix our wreath form. And I got 2 in a row here, so I'm going to use 2 pieces here. We're going to use another piece here. And again, I wouldn't worry about using a larger amount, because the part, even your ones that come pre-made, believe me, they shed. They definitely shed. Okay. So, again, I'm going to finish this up, and when I post my video, you'll see the finished piece and how it looks. And but for now, I'm going to go back through after the video and finish hiding my pins, but I think you get the idea of how this looks. And just so you can see, we'll just do a sample one here. It's just a ribbon I grabbed that I happen to have over here to the side. And you can certainly go through, this is the top, and take your ribbon. If you're just going to do one that hangs up with your ribbon as your hanger, just like this, and then tie a bow to it, and you've got your greenery. Or you can come back with florals and stick those in and design just as if you were designing a regular floral form wreath. So everyone, give me a thumbs up or a heart if you enjoyed this video. Again, I'm Peggy with Sweet Tea Makery, and if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so now and click on that bell so that you get the notifications when I upload new content, or if I go live on my YouTube. I'm also on Facebook as Sweet Tea Makery. You'll see the description in my video that directs you over to that page, where I also do lives there, and sometimes I have I don't always have the same exact content on either one, but I do try to share as much as I can with all of you. So I hope you have a blessed day. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm just going to tilt you up really quick so you can see my face really quick. Not that you really need to, but I want to thank you so much for joining my tutorial today. And again, I want to show you so you can see this kind of standing up. It's a little bit easier. So I just picked this one. You don't have to, I mean, this is just sort of a black and white ribbon. But you see how you can hang it. You can hang it like that and then add a bow to the top. Or if you decide that you want to add some florals to it, you can add some. Of course, I would have to trim it just so you get kind of an idea. So you can add your florals to, let's turn it a little bit, but you can add your florals to it, and you've created your own moss wreath for, I would say, between under $20 for sure, but the most that I think you'll have in it is about $15, versus the cheapest ones I saw online were $42 and $45. So, and again, if you're just doing this without trying to teach someone, it doesn't take you that long. It's just a matter of cutting out your 2-inch strips and just pinning it on. So thank you so much. I hope to see you again soon with another tutorial that I have planned for you, and we may even go ahead and finish this one up on another tutorial and show you how I decorated it. So thanks again, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.